Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Living at
Your highest quality of
life with the doctors that inspire wellness.
Jessica Hutchins, hi everybody.
Dan Knightis, good to be with you all. 216-965-9303 is our phone number. Anything we can help with, including medical appointments for functional medicine, wellness primary care, of course, medical cannabis, we have a sauna, we have IVs, however we can help. Let us know. Again, 216-965-9303. A couple of administrative notes. First, it's Michelle's birthday today. So happy birthday, Michelle. If you call into the office and she answers the phone, make sure to wish her a happy birthday. Hi, Michelle. Hope you're having a great day. We love you. Secondly, last Wednesday was our anniversary. 7 years. We just started year 8 this week. High five up top. Congratulations on that. Thank you so much to you all, the beautiful community, for supporting us and allowing us to live out this dream. So thank you so much for that. And I also want to thank the community again after I posted a cryptic message yesterday about the health scare, the prayer hands, the phone calls.
You guys were amazing.
Amazing. Honestly, thank you so much. So let's honestly dive in. We wanted to really talk about something that has been at the forefront of our minds, and that's the topic of detoxification. And oftentimes, I was thinking about this. Oftentimes, when we do Facebook Live, most of what we're talking about is more on the theoretical side. But now we actually have a patient to help explain exactly what's going on, and that patient just happens to be me. And so I want to kind of take you through what happened and where we're at. So I want to preface it by saying that I feel blessed that I have parents who are in amazingly good health in their mid-80s, but they have children who are not in such good health. And so that is fascinating to me, that their generation is doing great. My mom and dad are just fantastic. Yet they're seeing their kids suffer the consequences of chronic health issues because of the current situation that we're in. Me being no exception to that conversation. So in October, Jessica had said to me, you haven't done labs in a while. It's been well over a year, and we should see where things are at. And I was like, but I feel fine. What do I need? No, I don't really want to do. Well, you're going to do them anyway. So we went ahead and ordered labs, and I got to tell you, the results began to shake me to my core, in the sense that, again, I think for most of us, we go through life and we feel fine, and then we actually look inside metabolically and we recognize that there are some challenges. So when I got these labs back, here's what we found. And I'm gonna give you my numbers and then also tell you what normal is.
And these are labs that any doctor can.
So we started with a complete blood count. My white blood count was low. Normal range is 3.5 to 10.5 thousand. Mine was 3.39. My hemoglobin, normal range 13.5 to 17.5, 13.6. So 1/10 of a point above the low end of normal.
And less than it had been a couple of years.
And then my platelet count, 98,000. Normal, 150,000 to 450,000. So right off the bat, recognizing there's something going on with my bone marrow. BUN, which is a marker for kidney function, 27.5. Normal, 3 to 25. Creatinine, 1.27. Normal, 0.67 to 1.17. And then here's the one that really got my attention. The homocysteine level, which is an amino acid, but when we measure it in the blood, it tells us in real time how the body is doing at detoxifying itself toward equilibrium. In functional medicine, our goal is a homocysteine below 7. And mine was 12. So oh, wow. Now, there were some markers that were normal, like C-reactive protein is a marker of inflammation. 0.4 should be less than 1. And my nutrient levels like B12 and folate and D and magnesium all were great. So now this is where we bring what we've been teaching you guys all along, 3 categories that drive all chronic disease.
An ability to detoxify is the
Number
only
one.
one that I know.
Inflammation and nutrient deficiencies. So we know it's not inflammation and we know it's not nutrient deficiencies. Looking back at my genetics, we've talked about MTHFR as a genetic test to understand how well the body does or does not detoxify. I do have a significant variant. We talked about that. So we know detoxification is a challenge for me. So it became game on at that point of I've got to do something because I'm marching toward significant bone marrow dysfunction. If all at the same time, my white count is dropping, my hemoglobin's dropping, and my platelet count is dropping. And again, this would, I would say in most people trigger, I got to run to a hematologist and I've got to, talk to someone at the Cleveland Clinic and find out what's going on. And I said, hold on, let's pause here. Let's work with the knowledge that we have to really figure this out. So step one, and this, again, I'm working with a functional medicine doctor over here, Jessica, and I didn't do this on my own. She said the first thing we need to do is we need to look at toxins. We need to do a test and assess for a level of toxicity. So I agree, it's a urine test from Vibrant America. I agree to do the test. We send it in. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the results, so this is the end of October, the very end of October, I said to myself and to my doctor, I am making a commitment. I am going to use the infrared sauna that we have in our office 30 minutes at a time, and I'm committing to 60 sessions in the next 90 days.
Which is a huge deal because we've had this since we opened. And
Right,
we have
and so
never,
again,
ever done
this
that.
is ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment of truth. I'm not bullshitting anybody here. I'm telling you the truth of exactly what I've done and what I'm doing. The sauna, which I see, it was right by my office, I see people going in and out of it all the time. Maybe I used it four times during the pandemic. So between 2020 and let's say early 2024, maybe 4 times. Yet here's this tool that's sitting right in front of me. And sometimes it's so close to your face, you don't even see it. But anyway, no excuses. I said, I am making this commitment. And so I crushed it. I did the sauna 24 times in November, 26 times in December, and by January 15th, well before the 90-day point, I had hit 60 days in the sauna. So of course, being a data-driven person, I retested. But before we go over those results, I want to explain the toxin test and my results. So the toxin test comes back and it looks for lots and lots of toxins. It will look for heavy metals. It will look for mold. It will look for plastics, the forever chemicals, glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, and other pesticides. This is such a deep dive. I've never seen a test that provides you with so much information. So that test came back toward the end of November. So I had already been in the sauna at least 20 some times.
So my guess is, let me just say that if he were to do this before he even started the sauna, that it wouldn't have shown as much because I think I know the sauna just helps promote your detoxification pathways, all over. So I really feel like
Right.
this is a sign of more toxins, of all the stored toxins, because how many decades have you had to store up all these toxins?
Exactly. So the way that the lab provides you with your data is it will tell you that these are the ones that are severe, where they categorize it by percentile. So if this is the acceptable limit and you're in the 95th percentile or greater, that's considered highly, a high toxic exposure. So greater than the 95th percentile, I had 2 very significant findings. One of them was related to citrinin. Citrinin as a mold toxin is particularly found in food. So when we think about mold toxins, we can think about areas in water damaged buildings that can grow mold, but we also have to take a step back and recognize that our food supply is way moldier than I think that we even acknowledge. The most common foods that have mold on them: grain, chocolate, wine, nuts,
Dried fruit,
dried fruit.
like mango, Costco mangoes.
So the bottom line is that we eat as much organic as we can. But think about it. If you're not spraying your food with an herbicide or pesticide, there's a higher likelihood that organisms can grow. So, you have to look at that, from a risk-benefit ratio. And to me, I would much rather avoid glyphosate, which causes cancer, and that has been shown over and over again. So avoiding glyphosate as opposed to the potential for moldy food. But that was minor compared to what I'm about to tell you. The toxin that I had at the top of the list is basically an acrylamide. It is a chemical that is found oftentimes in plastic wrapping. So think about all the food that we consume that's wrapped in plastic. When you go to the butcher, they wrap it in plastic, and everything in the, in the interior of the store shelf has plastic liners. But the number one exposure for this particular toxin, and by the way, let me give you the level. The high end of normal is 199 micrograms per gram. That's the high end of what would be considered the acceptable limit. Mine came back at 758, 4 times that level. And so again, this is all about transparency. I am hiding nothing from you guys. The number one exposure for this particular toxin is potatoes, particularly potato chips and French fries, because when you cook potatoes in high heat, potatoes are high in arginine. So there's an explanation that comes with this. Potatoes are high in, asparagine, which is an amino acid. That can convert to acrylamide when it is heated at high heat. So when you're frying it.
Like deep fried type.
So when you're
temperatures.
deep frying your French fries or your potato chips, this is when this chemical, because of this amino acid and the high heat from the sugars in that potato, create this chemical or this toxin. And this toxin was 4 times the upper limit of normal. So now I take a step back and realize that I have got to make significant changes from a dietary perspective. And again, I'm not hiding anything from you. My weakness, for sure, is potato chips and French fries. It's salty foods. And I even, remember telling Jessica, I would go to Costco, and Costco has this big Kirkland, it's their own brand bag of potato chip. I think it's organic, with the pink Himalayan sea salt. Monumental bag. How many ounces? 50 ounces? It's ridiculous. And she would not eat one, and I would consume the entire bag. So there's no question.
Even when you were younger in school, you used to eat
It's
chips.
not I don't know where this is coming from. We talk about when we go out, if we go out to eat, I'm like an 8-year-old. The first
French
waiter or
fries.
waitress comes over and says, "Can I get you something to drink?" "No, but I want an order of fries." Before you even take my order, I must have fries. So I have created some habits that have led me to a point where, from a toxicity standpoint, I'm at significant risk. So I want to share with you the follow-up, which has been really important, and I'm incredibly blessed and happy with what I'm seeing so far.
Right.
No foot off the gas, by the way, as it relates to detoxifying.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, he's still going in the sauna.
Still going in the sauna.
Let me just mention how this relates to the whole bone marrow or suppression or depression. So toxins are stored
Thank
in
you.
bone, brain, and
Fat.
fat. So when you have a bunch of toxins accumulating and building up your bone instead of the good bone cells and the good minerals, it is going to definitely impair the ability to make all these blood cells, like the platelets and white blood cells and red blood cells. So that's how really it's a direct correlation. You get these toxins out of your bone, and all of a sudden your bone has more substance to actually build real bone. And I imagine it drastically decreases your chance of a fracture or osteoporosis or something like that as well.
Absolutely. So thank you. I wanted to make sure that we talked about that, but that is such a huge thing to say. I want to say it again. Your toxins settle in brain, bone, and fat. And so I'm, again, seeing in real time my bone marrow is being affected. And again, it's taking the bull by the horns and saying, it's got to be toxins, figure it out. So we test it, and then you got to get them out.
And we do a really good job of decreasing toxins. So this is for people who are already pretty clean. And this is kind of eye-opening to see. You know, we can really make a lot of changes with how we eat and how we live.
Right. So here's the good news. The white blood count is now at 4.89. It
it's
was
within the normal.
3.39. My hemoglobin went up 0.3 of a point to 13.9. I'm heading in the right direction. Here's my big win. I mean, I was running circles around the office. My platelet count, which was 98,000, went up to 207,000.
Woohoo.
Unbelievable. BUN dropped to 20.5.
Oh, mention that.
So
Dehydration.
again, I think that was a factor of dehydration. I'm not a great water drinker, and I have made a commitment to 1 cup of coffee, the rest water throughout the day and evening. And again, as part of using the sauna, and I know that you're losing a lot of water through sweating. I wanted to make sure that I was mindful in replacing. So I've really tried to avoid other caffeinated beverages. I've stuck to the 1 cup of coffee, and I believe that with much better hydration and really paying attention to it, the BUN came down. The homocysteine was 12. It's now 8. And that is in literally 3 months. And so this is where we have to have this honest conversation with all of us to say, what are we doing to tackle the amount of toxicity that is being thrown at us, right? The chronic disease epidemic isn't getting any better. In fact, it just continues to pile on one problem after another. And so if you're watching this, I implore you to do everything you can to help your body reduce inflammation, improve your nutrient levels, and help your body detoxify. There is no pause button on that. And again, I think that is really where I owe it to being a truth teller to you all and to myself to say, like, I have got to do much better. And again, as we continue to age, the body is going to take more and more of a hit, and it has a harder and harder time recovering. So it becomes imperative that I'm assisting my body in all of these ways in order for my body to be able to achieve equilibrium. So I'm hopeful that by you all hearing this story, that it's causing you to, maybe take action, and it's, the beginning of the year, and it's time, to take action for your overall health. When was the last time I had labs? What do my markers look like? Where am I at with inflammation? Where are my nutrient levels? How am I doing as far as detoxification? Because I promise you, and this is like no joke, the footsteps are coming for all of us. And I'm not being dramatic, when I say this.
Little dramatic.
Now, I'm not being dramatic. Fuck, excuse me, Mom.
Holy.
Frick that. Like, no, it's time to get tough, Mom. I'm really sorry. It is time to get tough with all of us, because I think that when we settle for complacency, this is when the footsteps to start to get closer and closer. And I want all of us to achieve the highest quality of life. But as you know, it requires heavy lifting on the patient's part. And I'm sitting in the patient chair this time and owning it.
And for me, it was really eye-opening to see it's not just about living a clean life at this moment. A lot of these toxins, I'm sure, were built up for decades. So it really is important long-term to get the stored toxins out. And there's a million ways to do that. Sauna is just one of them, but sauna is the kind of thing that doesn't take much energy just to sit in it, and it really does take out we think just about every toxin, honestly. So it's not just focused on binding a heavy metal or binding a mold or something like that. It really can get at everything.
And honestly, I think you said this when we first opened 7 years ago. 8 years ago. Everyone should have a sauna in their house. Everyone needs a sauna, access to a sauna, because this is the cross to bear. And I completely agree with it.
Did
know,
you back then?
Well, we bought a sauna. We had a sauna here. And again, in the beginning, I used it, and then it just kind of like everything else. It's kind of you fall into other habits. And so, again, how do we detoxify? Sweating, number one. So sauna, steam, exercise, drinking clean filtered water, making sure you're having good, bowel movements,
Epsom
1 to 2
salt
a
baths.
day. Epsom salt baths, eating organic cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, arugula, cabbage, affect all phases of detoxification. So again, it's, this is what we, say it's mowing the lawn. You got to just keep going this over and over and over and over and over again. And, again, I really appreciate your support. Jessica, you were amazing at helping me figure this out and taking it seriously. Like, this is no joke. And I also want to, again, thank all of you who reached out yesterday and today. The intention wasn't to, really scare anybody, but, to me, this is a significant health challenge. When you see your bone marrow is being compromised, like, it's only a matter of time until, you're severely anemic. And
Knowing there are people that that also have bone marrow.
Right, exactly. So I really appreciate your guys' love and support and concern.
Yeah, that's the power of a community, man.
Yeah.
If anybody needs prayers, I know where to
Yeah,
look,
really,
right?
seriously. I went to bed last night with all those prayer hands going, like, this community really does care, and it's really, really uplifting. So thank you so much. Love you all. If there's anything we can do to help you, like, this is our forte. And also being in it as a human, it just helps because it makes it so real. Like, I know exactly what patients are going through. It takes so much heavy lifting to try to stay healthy. And even when you think you're doing well, you got to stay on this and keep looking.
Tough world to live in these
and
days.
keep monitoring and keep, looking at your data to make sure that everything is in order. And if it's not, you got to figure it out. So
Don't wait to fall apart and have diseases until you take it seriously.
absolutely. So thank you again. Love you all. Happy, healthy new year. Congratulations to Inspire Wellness, our entire team, Kim and Nicole, of course, Michelle. Happy birthday again. And I want to thank you. It's just been an amazing run. We continue to have such a fun time. I also, right before we sign off, I want to remind you about the NAD IV offer that we have. So patients are scheduling 5 days of NAD. We're giving you the 5th day free, so you're paying for 4 infusions, you get the 5th one free, and then that also allows you to enter into a drawing that we're going to have the first week of April. One person is going to get 5 days of NAD for themselves or a family or friend that they choose to donate that to, and we're really excited about the opportunities that we have in using the NAD and other nutrients to help patients get themselves to equilibrium.
And let me just answer one of these real quick. So Ray Ellen, thank you for commenting. So I actually it's a Soma Vedic device that you put water in front of that's supposed to structure water. And then Dan uses his amethyst crystals that he charges in the sun and puts them in their water. So we're trying to structure water, but your point is well taken that if you do structure your water, it might act, that's funny. He has pulled it out of his cup right now. I didn't know you had it in there. So structuring your water probably
Cheers.
really does have a big impact on how it gets into your cells and really creates a good hydration. And then minerals too. You can add some minerals in your water too. Anyway, that's for
Absolutely.
another talk. All right, thank you, guys.
216-965-9303 if there's anything you need. We love you. Remember, it's your time to thrive.
Wait,
Let
us
us inspire you. And me and you. And
All
this
right.
is for our birthday girl. Love you guys. Just for you, Michelle.
Matt, I hope you watch this.
Love you guys.
Bye.
My Michelle.